people of Earth. This is how you find the present moment in under 10 seconds. Can you find it? This was taught to me by a man in Medellin, Colombia, who I met on a meetup with the Medellin foodies. And it's called the Open Focus Brain, and it's a good one. Strap in. Okay, so how to tee up this concept. Right. So in every moment in your life, at every possible instant, there are literally millions, billions of potential data points that you could be focusing on. You know, I could focus on the lens of the camera, which I need to look in. I could be focusing on, you know, whether I'm smiling enough. I could be focusing on my weight on the chair. I could be focusing on the taste in my mouth. I could be focusing on this bottle of water. I could be looking at the the sunset, sorry. I could be looking at this plant. I could be looking at this hammock. I could be listening to the sound of the car in the distance. You know, there's literally so much information that our brain could be taking in at every moment. And the things that we pay attention to out of this, you know, myriad of potential informations essentially dictates the quality of our life. And so what we focus on is incredibly important, but not only that, how we focus is incredibly important, because you've probably noticed yourself that if you're stressed or you're anxious or you're in a bad state of mind, you could be in the most beautiful place in the world. For example, I was in fucking Cancun 3 weeks ago, and there was one day I was a bit stressed, and it doesn't matter how many palm trees there are, or how relaxing, you know, the waves lapping at the ocean is, or how tasty the margarita is that you're drinking. All you're focusing on is the problems that you have in your mind. This is called narrow focus. This means that there is one thing that you're focusing like ultimate concentration on in your life. And most of us go through our lives with this narrow focus, going from one thing to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing, but constantly having this kind of narrow focus. And if you think about it, if you're focusing on one thing intently, then it takes up 100% of your, you know, experience of reality. Even though there's all this information coming in, you're not paying any attention to it, you know. That's why you can be having a conversation and you're not paying any attention to the other person because you're thinking about this thing that's in your head that's running wild, you know. Oh, fuck, I shouldn't have said that thing. And therefore our problems seem a lot bigger than they actually are. Yes, I'm sure it's important, you know, that email that you sent to the boss was the wrong tone and he came back at you and maybe you have a little argument. But in the grand scheme of things, that one moment in your life is not important enough to take up 100% of your attention for days. And I'm speaking from personal experience here. But the thing is, if you can learn to open your focus, you know, and pay attention to more things at once, then you might still be thinking about that thing, that problem that you have that's just running rampant in your mind, but it's not going to be taking up 100% of your time anymore. Because if I'm thinking, you know, if I've got this issue I'm dealing with, I was bitten by a spider here in Colombia and there's pain, I could spend my entire day focusing completely on that pain and it would probably be agony. But if in the moment, you know, I was like, okay, I'm narrow focusing right now, let me just focus on some other stuff at the same time, right? I'm sitting in the chair, I can hear the car in the distance, you know, I'm looking at this big fucking rock that's in front of me. I'm focusing on other things, therefore it just becomes a smaller part of everything I'm focusing on and it dilutes the pain a bit. And so opening your focus basically means learning how to pay attention to more things at once as you're going about your day. And it's such a powerful practice. So not just focusing on the thing that you're looking at, like me and the camera, also at the same time recognizing that there's all this other stuff that I can see, but I'm not paying any attention to. Like, for example, I'm looking at this lens in the camera, but I can see the stone in the background. I can see the hammock here. I can see the door over here. And it's an art. It's a skill. Being able to, you know, open up the peripheral vision. That's one of them. Then there's, you know, what can I hear? You know, what's the noise in the distance? Can I hear the birds? Can I hear that motorbike that's rattling away in the distance? Can I hear someone chatting? Then there's also what can you feel? You know, the weight of my chair. Then there's what can I taste in my mouth? You know, and then there's what the other ones? I can't even remember. There's also, you know, what are the sensations that are going on inside my physical body. Right now, you know, my stomach's acting a bit weird, or, you know, I've got an itchy leg, or all this kind of stuff. There's energy moving in your body all the time, so it's paying attention to both the external and the internal. And there's another aspect to it, which is kind of a mind-blowing concept, but it's not only about paying attention to the thing, it's about paying attention to the space between the thing. You know, so if you're looking at the world, not just looking at the, you know, the camera, being able to see the space that's in between me and the camera and get a feel for this space that's in between the thing and me. Because 99.9% of everything around us is empty space. Even within the atom, 99.9% of it is empty space. And there is a huge amount of energy that you can connect to if you're able to connect to and understand this empty space. It also goes further. It's about being able to hear the gaps and the silence in between sounds. But by learning to weave these things together in your life as you're going about your day, it radically transforms your experience of the world. Because firstly, by focusing on more things at once, it completely relaxes your nervous system. Because this narrow band of focus that we normally use and that we're taught to use is only to be used sometimes when we're in deep work moments. The rest of the time we should be in a more open, focused, relaxed. So there is something that happens in your nervous system where it completely relaxes and it immediately takes your brain from beta to alpha, which is like to a more resting, relaxed state. But it goes even further, because when you train your nervous system to calm down from this beta to alpha, your nervous system thinks it's safe enough to start to process these emotions that are trapped within you. And if you know anything about ayahuasca, you'll know that there's a purge. You know, you're sick or you go to the toilet a lot. And what that is negative emotions that have been trapped inside you that you're literally physically removing from your system through your mouth or, through shaking. And what this meditation does is the exact same, no sickness. But what you'll notice is when you calm your nervous system, you'll maybe get these waves of fear or anxiety that just come up and then they're processed. And once it's gone, it's gone. You learn how to let go of all these emotions that don't serve you anymore. So let's do a wee exercise here for 2 minutes, super quick. I want you to notice the weight of your body as it's sitting in the chair. I want you to notice your feet on the ground or your shoes as they're connecting to the earth if you're sitting in a chair. I want you to notice that you are, looking at this video right now. And I want you to also notice what you can see in your peripheral vision. What is it you can see out the corner of your eye, out the top of your eye, out the bottom of your eye? And try and simultaneously notice what you're looking at directly and what you can see from a peripheral vision perspective. I want you to notice your breath as it comes in and out of your nose and your stomach as it's gently rising and falling. I want you to notice if you can hear any sounds, if there are any birds chirping, if there's any traffic noises or your roommate. And now see if you can try this one. I want you to try and notice the empty space around you while you are looking at the screen. Can you notice the space between the screen and your face, your head, your eyes? Now, can you weave these things together? Can you notice the empty space between you and the screen, as well as notice what you can see out of your peripheral vision? And can you keep both of those things as you notice the weight of your body, where it stands or where it sits? And can you maintain all of them while you add in the breath? Notice the breath, and notice your weight in the chair, and notice what you can see in your peripheral vision, and notice the space between yourself and your phone or your computer. Now I want you to just try and maintain that for a wee second. And when you're ready, you can just come back to a normal state of consciousness, of awareness. Good work. Now, you may have noticed, hopefully, if you did that for 2 minutes there, I even noticed it there because I was not in a very open, focused state of mind, that your entire nervous system kind of goes and relaxes. You go into this kind of hypnotic state where you start to feel really good and you're not in your thoughts anymore because there's so much for you to think about, like the empty space and the peripheral vision and, you know, your weight in the chair, and that there's so much to try and pay attention to at the same time that you cannot pay attention to your thoughts and do this. If you found that helpful in any way, that's only a taster. I would recommend you check out the book, The Open Focus Brain. He talks a lot more about it, although I do think the exercises that they put forward are pretty complex, but that can give you an idea of roughly, you know, the direction you should start going down. But the idea of the open focus brain is being able to basically cultivate a meditative state. It's not about meditation, I did my 10 minutes, I did my 20 minutes, I did my hour, whatever. The whole goal of meditation is to be able to stay in that state of absolute presence and awareness of everything around you 24/7 throughout the day, to be meditative, not meditate. And open focus is one of the best ways that I've found, because you do it with your eyes open, so you can do it literally any time. You can do it when you're standing in line, when you're listening to someone talk. One of the times I've been using it recently, to be fair, is if I'm in conversation with someone and this is a classic for me, and, you know, I start running out of things to say. It puts me in this kind of anxious, you know, stressed out state of mind where all I can think about is the fact that I don't have anything to say. That for me now is a trigger for me to use this open focus, where I'm like, okay, not before I was like zoom, looking at the person and that's all I could see and all I could pay attention to. What are they thinking? And am I being entertaining enough? And la 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 la. And then I kind of come back and I see the person, but I see everything around them, and I hear the birds and I hear everything. And usually that relaxes me down to the point where I'm like, okay, it's not a big deal, chill out. But in my life before, 5 years ago, a couple of years ago, if I was in that situation and I went into that kind of spiral negatively, then that could ruin my whole day, you know? And being able to tap into this open focus brain has helped me tremendously. So yeah, I would recommend checking out the book, The Open Focus Brain. Realistically, you need to practice these things in a specific manner, half an hour a day, sitting down and just doing it, in order to train and build up the habit and the ability so that you can then do it in your daily life. If you just think, I'm going to try and do it in my daily life, it never fucking works. And if I'm, even for now, for example, I've not been amazing, I've been doing other types of meditation, so it's much harder for me to click into that open focus brain, you know, the muscles atrophied a little bit. But I would recommend, if you connected to that one, open-eyed meditation has been a game changer for me, because it's more about integrating it in your daily life so that I can do it when I'm working. I don't need to, it's not like I go and do my meditation, I can do it 24/7 if I remember. So yeah, check out the book, give it a bash, hope it was helpful, and see you soon.